What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the uPOW podcast, season 2. This season is going to be amazing. I am super excited about it. As always, I am Shawn.
I'm Austin.
I'm Bailey.
And today we are kicking off the very first episode. Super pumped. We're going to be talking about the idea and the concept of looking at fitness, but looking at fitness through a wellness lens. Now, that's important for a variety of reasons. We're all going to talk about this. We all kind of came up with some of our own reasons, some of our own stories, our own trials, tribulations, and experiences. We're going to share them with you and talk about why we feel the way that we do about it. With that, I'm going to kick it off to Austin first. What do you got for us, buddy?
All right. So I guess for me, looking at fitness through a wellness lens, I think like really it comes down to creating a sustainable action plan. I guess like I see a lot of people when they dive into fitness, they have a goal in mind. And once they reach that goal, they retract back to where they were before. Okay, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I lost 20 pounds. Now I'm back to gaining those 20 pounds, maybe even more. So they get kind of in this loop and they get stuck. So they're constantly gaining, losing, or whether it's like gaining strength or something like that. And I think sustainable action plans, it's more about being and living in that life rather than just doing the simple actions that's going to get you to the goal. I think there's both, but I think it's the holistic picture. And I think that's where wellness really brings in that lifestyle change or that sustainability that you're not going to get just from jumping through the hoops or doing those different action plans. Because you can do it, but it's only going to get you so far, So I guess that's right. What I want to open up with.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I agree. Bailey, what do you think about that?
You said something that really stuck out to me, and that was the holistic piece, right? Because when we just look at physical fitness, there's nothing wrong with that. You can set some great goals and achieve a lot of wonderful things by focusing solely on your physical body. But the problem is if that is your only focus, I feel like occasionally some other areas may start to suffer. In your pursuit for physical wellness, is your mental health suffering? Or in your, when you develop your goals around nutrition, are you so stringent that all of a sudden your exercise or your training is compromised? So, that whole idea of physical fitness through a wellness lens is really, I think, so much more all-encompassing it and sets people up for success, which is what I love about it. That's why I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree completely. Because like if you think about it, right, like how many diets has absolutely everyone gone on, and what's the first thing you do, right? I'm cutting out bad food, cutting out alcohol, cutting out no more eating out, no more partying, no more doing anything that's going to make me like, I don't know, socially or romantically fun and happy with my entire life. Right. Yeah. So it's like, hold on, your first step towards being better is to restrict all the other aspects of your life. Like that's really going to work, pal. Like, and I'm guilty of it. It's the first thing I do every single time. We need to stop we need to stop eating out. That's what it is. No more McDonald's. That's it. First one to go. So yeah. I'm definitely guilty of it too. And I think another big commitment or another big piece of it is committing that much of your time and that much of your sort of mindset into, I got to go hard. I got to be in the gym 5 a.m. I got to do this, and this. And it's like, have you really considered the implications of like sleep, of your daily routines, and sometimes in athletics, we call it the sleep hygiene and the other things that you do. Basically it boils down to like your ritual, right? If you're not comfortable with that word, maybe your routine, the things that you immediately start to sacrifice are the things that have kept you basically where you're at right now in life. And it's like you can't just turn that entire system upside down. You need these smaller, more gradual changes to achieve those bigger goals. Like I'm a big fan of set big goals. I like setting insurmountable, massive goals.
Yeah.
But you can't climb Mount Everest in one step. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's also starts with a mindset shift. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can actions. I guess there's like this, just because you throw a football doesn't make you a football player. I think that's a big thing. You're going to be a football player. Now, what that action may entail like throwing a football, but you got to get into this realm and this mindset of being what you want to be. And those actions start coming to you. Yeah, you might cut out alcohol, especially if you're doing competition or something like that. Yeah, you might, stop going to fast food, but that doesn't have to happen all at once. Like you don't have to flip the switch to, become that thing. You can start to slowly and incrementally gaining traction to become that and start to create an action plan from there. And then it's not like, climbing Mount Everest from the get-go. You're going to go to rock climbing. You're going to start small. You're going to buy some of the equipment. You're going to meet people that are in that community and start to gain knowledge then. Because to think that you know how to get there from the start, you've already got lost. I think that's just a point I want to raise there.
I think that's super smart. And I honestly wish more people kind of thought that way about it, because when we try to go too fast in the beginning, I often feel like that's just a recipe for burnout, right? We get very hyper-focused on one goal, and it's not that that goal is bad or wrong, but if that is the only area of focus, what else are we missing along the way? And I feel like, at least in my practice, I see people do that all the time, and they just fizzle out so fast, and then they're disappointed and discouraged. And then if you do hit that point, like, where's the motivation to try again? Or where's the motivation to implement a different goal? So there's really something to be said, for starting small and really lining out like achievable goals that are more all encompassing and that focus on more than just one sole area.
Yeah.
I don't know what you said about, sorry, Austin, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, like, I always find it so funny that people are trying to rush through something too. Like I only have so much time. I got to lose, 20 pounds in 2 months. So what if it takes you 3? What if it takes you 4? What if it takes you 6?
Right. Like you're going to feel like a failure.
Yeah. Like why 2 months? Like, why are you putting that deadline on yourself to, push everything out as quickly as you can? Because then you're not even enjoying the journey. You're not meeting people at the gym. You're not meeting people at the yoga studio. You're not curious or asking questions. You're just on like a death march, and you're going to get there no matter how hard you work, baby, and how hard you try. You're going to get there, and you're going to burn the whole place down with you.
Like there's a story here.
Probably 5 or 6, to be honest.
I mean, I think it's just Shawn and I's life too, because I think that's what I did. Like for me,
feeling attacked, but okay.
Well, no, but I guess that was just, I guess for me, that was my thing. Like I would burn the whole place down. I didn't care who I had to not be friends with or whatever I had to do. I was gonna get that goal rather than being with it and seeing the opportunities that show up. They might not show up as that goal. My goal might change, but I missed a lot of the fun out of it. And I missed the community building, and I missed the networking opportunities and like job opportunities, or even just like fitness opportunities to meet new people. Like my way, it was kind of like my way or the highway. And I think fitness has a lot of that mentality behind it. Like, I know, it's like people are like, I know, so I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to take advice from anybody. And it's really hard to learn and stay curious and create a place of fun and encouragement when you're acting like that. Right. When you're not letting anything in.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Actually, it's, to back this up just a little bit, because I like what Bailey brought up about motivation and the way that you like put yourself in that mindset. And I really liked what you brought up about how everyone wants it like now. So I think a lot of this stuff, and I'm gonna take a little side trip. If y'all know my ADD brain, we got to take a little trip, and then we're gonna come back to my point. So the little trip we're gonna take here is like whenever I was in the gym, right? And Trey, who's on the call, can attest to this. I like the hardest stuff I can find, right? Like I like the stuff that's gonna make you puke. Like my favorite thing to do is to superset like deadlifts and barbell rows, or like squats and lunges, or like something that is designed to like literally do nothing but like make you in the most physical pain you can possibly be in, right? So like I like the grind, and the shine just comes with it, right? Do you think that a lot of people are lacking, they have maybe motivation, but they don't have commitment because they want the shine more than they want the grind? Like they're more interested in the result than they are with putting in the work day in, day out, and actually following a plan and all that stuff. Or maybe they don't understand how to build out a plan, or maybe they don't understand how to go about this pursuit. They don't have the, they've got the motivation, they maybe got the inspiration, they don't have the information,
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Bailey?
That's kind of a tough one. I mean, I do think you have the group of people who see maybe in somebody else, they see what they want. Like they see their end goal, and they have not accounted for how much work it actually takes to get to that point. Kind of what comes to mind for me is that novice that walks into the gym and they see the power lifter in the back who's clearly been at this several years, and they think to themselves, that guy, like I want to be like that guy. Little do they know that guy's been at this for 5 years and has gone through X amount of training, X amount of plans, so I could see that person maybe not having a full understanding of like what it takes. But on the flip side too, I think you do have people who have a plan, and they, again, they see their target goal, but that plan, they haven't designed it in a way that is sustainable. They haven't taken wellness into account at all. They haven't taken into account how much sacrifice it really is going to take to get to that point. So I feel like it's kind of hard to pigeonhole people. I'm sure you have a multitude and a variety of clients, really.
Yeah.
Austin, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's kind of one of those things you got to work up to that commitment. Like you're not going to go run a marathon when you're going to start being a runner. You're going to start with 1 mile at a time, and you're going to build that piece up. So I think people they have that motivation, they have that spark to go out there and get it done, but then they get discouraged by them failing at some certain point. And I think they just wrap it up and I'm quitting. Like I'm done with this life. And I guess that's where it's not always the actions and the outcomes that you should be attached to. It's that mindset again, going back to that and knowing that, hey, just because I couldn't get my mile time under 7 minutes doesn't mean I can't get there. It's something that you're going to have to constantly work towards, and failure is going to be part of that. And I think soaking that up and taking it as a learning lesson rather than getting hit by your ego. Because I think for me is that people don't want to get out of their comfort zone, and their comfort zone might be, I can do this yoga pose, or I can, bench press this amount, but I'm afraid to go more than that because there's failure there, and I'm afraid of failure. So I think that's the big thing, is like being able to encounter failure and tackle that head on, rather than, having all this motivation just to see success and only success, because that's a path that ends very quickly.
I agree. Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things, and why we all are passionate about this, and why, uPOW is on the mission that it's on, is like, we're here to motivate, inform, inspire, and we're here to help you kind of weed your way through all the, this crazy stuff you read on the internet. I know Bailey and I were looking at an article earlier today. Like it just made my skin crawl. I was like,
So bad.
What was it?
It was, do you remember what it was?
Yes, the exact title was something along the lines of people who exercise and sedentary individuals burn the same number of calories. So it was negating the entire premise of working out to lose weight and saying that it was ineffective.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
A new science.
Dude, like
how did they prove that?
Right. Apparently there's some new dude who's working on some research, but it didn't cite the dude. It didn't cite his research or anything. I'm like, it's not real.
Sketchy.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Man, gosh, I need to sit on my ass more.
Apparently. But back
Can
to
you
doing it
write
wrong.
that in my plan?
but nah, back to the real stuff here. I think, I think even somebody who doesn't have a plan but is very, very motivated can, get up off the couch, can get themselves to the gym, can figure out how to do X, Y, and Z, and they can really, they're on their pursuit, right? Because like, as much as we want to say like, this is your pursuit, X, Y, and Z, we're going to help you along the way. Like, you have to be motivated to take that first step. And actually, whether it's just throwing us on in the background and listening, or whether it's, hopping on a plan, or I'm going to cut out pop, it could be something really, really small. It could be something really, really big, depending on what your goal is and where you want to go with it. But my question is, how do you convince yourself to take that first step? Because I know I've been that guy, like, hand to God. I think I've started on Monday about 500 times in my life, where it's like new diet tomorrow, grind time, 5 a.m., doing X, Y, and Z. And I promise you by Thursday, I'm at Five Guys, like, just like trying to like head down and shit. Like, yeah, you're the usual. Don't say it so loud. Like,
I mean, I guess like what would you consider the first step is?
I think the first step is admitting to yourself you need to make a change, and admitting to yourself maybe you don't know everything you need to know to make that change, and seeking out, whether it's motivation, inspiration, or information, seeking one of those things out to get you going.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fundamental, having an idea of where you want to go, because anybody can like sit on the couch and look at X, Y, or Z amazing athlete and be like, I want to be like that. It's like, how are you gonna get there? I don't know. So how do you go from A to D?
Yeah, I think I guess it's curiosity and finding what works for you and what motivates you, because without that, you don't have really a driving force. Without staying curious, without being motivated or inspired, you're just throwing it into the wind, and hopefully it takes off and sails. I guess that's my opinion. Billy, what about you?
Yeah, I would love to build off this a little bit. I feel like I'm in a cool position because a lot of times in my job, especially in the beginning stages, like, we talk so much about what our goals are and what our outcomes and results are. What are we looking for at the end of a session, or at the end of a semester, or end of a meeting?
So you guys start with goals? I don't mean to interrupt you. Like, that's your starting point, is like, what's the goal?
It actually is. And it feels like we work backwards, because whatever the client, so to speak, wants to accomplish, that's going to set the tone for our meetings. And it's something that I generally just refer to as like alignment. I need you to align for yourself what your primary goals are. Like, is it weight loss? Is it simply improving your diet? Is it bettering your exercise? Depending on what the answer is, we can really backtrack and then start to implement, something that we call SMART goals. A lot of people actually use those in a lot of different professions, but it basically stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So whatever we're going to implement, those are the criteria that the goals have to meet. And it's really nice because when you can break it into such small and manageable steps, like, people see success, and that's what drives motivation. Those small daily successes, those small daily wins. And so if we can get anyone, ourselves, our friends, our family, our clients, to buy into that process, I mean, we'll see the outcome. We'll improve wellness, and that's amazing to me. I'm sure you guys can speak to that as well. And
just got to get that momentum too.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I think, like, I'd take it almost one step further back. It's that mindset. Like, what's the possibility that I want to create for myself in my life? Because then you can set your goal. Like, okay, I want to be healthy. What does that look like? Talk to me about that. Does healthy look like losing weight, gaining weight? Does that look like going to the gym 4 times a week? Does that look like a better diet? And I think that's when it's like, boom, you got your possibility, and then you create your goals on top of it. And like Bailey said, it's just those small wins that carry it and give it momentum for the larger ones. And then the larger ones look a lot smaller once you've accomplished all those smaller goals along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, you know what's crazy is I have actually said out loud, and I used to preach this religiously, like small, and it's the Andy Frisella quote, so you already know it's going to be like hardcore and everything, but small attainable goals lead to small attainable results. And I don't like small goals because I'd rather you set goals so big that you have to grow into the person that can achieve those goals. Right. But the thing is, like, just setting that massive goal, I want to climb Mount Everest. I want to be Phil Heath. I want to be a professional bodybuilder. I want to do whatever, whatever, whatever. It's like, that didn't give you any roadmap to get there, you know?
Yeah.
And the minute I took myself out of that mindset and started thinking like, maybe I should set some smaller, smart goals, give myself a realistic time to do this stuff. When I completed that first goal, I was like, holy crap, like this is awesome. And then I did another goal and I felt even better. And I did another one and I felt even better. So I was like, oh, this is great. It's not like I'm like working for 9 months to kind of not really achieve the goal that I set out to do.
Yeah.
Like I did like 15 goals in the same amount of time. It's incredible.
Yeah,
You know?
there's a lot more fulfillment too, because then it's like, all right, I'm gonna work 9 months to be happy for 5 seconds, then I gotta go do another big goal.
Right.
Rather than having like those achievements and fulfillment along the way and being
Right.
happy about it.
And at that
Okay.
point,
And
too,
you know,
like,
I'm
you're
not
building
saying
up
that. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, so I was just going to say, like, when you go that route, like you're building up a habit, you're building up a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like it's something that is, you know, can be incorporated for as long as you need it to be. It's not this outlandish practice that you're trying to make time for all the time, and trying to implement into your ridiculous schedule. So yeah, there's something really to be said, I think, for those smaller, more achievable goals to get the ball rolling. You know, they can grow. No one says they have to stay small.
Right.
It's a good way to start.
It's kind of interesting too. I always think about pulling the thread, and you're threading the needle. You can't pull too many threads. You can't pull too many big threads. You're going to thread the needle with it. It's just not possible. So it's like, what's the one thread you want to pull to make the big change that's ultimately going to be there? You're making, whether you want to make a quilt, socks, I don't care what you want to make. Maybe sew up your old jeans, or cargo shirt. I don't really care what you want to do. Or cargo pants. So basically what I'm trying to say is like, take the really small ones that I don't want to say that you can do. It's still going to be difficult. It's still a stretch goal, but it's something that pushes you out of your limits, and at the same time is something that you can see in front of you. It's not something, all right, I'm going A to Z. It's like I'm going A to B, C, maybe D to get there. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is very powerful about this is it can be very, very small as long as you build on it, and as long as you have a plan to build on it, and you kind of know the road that you're going down, right? Like if you're someone who's completely sedentary, right? Like you work from home, don't really leave the house. I mean, obviously none of us have really been leaving the house in the pandemic that we're in, which Indiana is opening back up pretty soon. Praise the Lord. But you know, it could be something like, I'm going to walk to the mailbox today, you know, and then that's it. And then the next day, okay, well, I'm going to walk to the neighbor's mailbox. Okay. And then, okay, the end of I'm going to walk into the street. You know what I'm saying? It could literally be that small, but like you've just checked off 3 goals that you can do in 1 week, you know? And like, how good do you feel about that? Right. So like, I guess what my opinion on it is that a lot of people don't want to set small goals and be genuinely excited about it, is because they're worried about someone saying, oh, well, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, why is that
your goal? Well, it's kind of like where people start too. Like you see people kind of make fun of other people that aren't in the best shape in the gym. And it's like, no, you should be high-fiving them. It's like, dude, that's great. They got in here.
Right.
Like
You have
that's half the
concrete
battle.
evidence they're trying to be better.
Yeah, exactly. They're actively on the pursuit of, you know, physical fitness or wellness or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, you got to give them props. Like it's not easy to, one, show up, and then 2, to keep that momentum going and actually finish your workout. So I don't know. I think that's the thing too. People are just afraid of what other people are going to shame them for, whether it's the start, whether it's the end goal, or whether it's their journey. But I think that's where you got to make it your own.
All right. I
I
mean,
think
that's where
a
I would
good
just
point.
go ahead. I feel like I keep
Well, I'm
interrupting
just
you,
curious,
man.
like, as far as, like, you guys mentioned a really good, like, a very real challenge for a lot of people. And so if you have someone embarking on this fitness journey, they want to improve physical fitness, but they want to keep wellness as a concentration and as a focus, you know, realistically, what are other challenges they might run into? You know, ridicule might be one of them. Or maybe people thinking that like they're not trying as hard as they should. You know, what else should they expect?
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, one of the big things that leaps to mind for me is, you know, getting some information that might not be the best. You know, I mean, I know I was lucky whenever I started lifting weights and I started working out and everything, that I learned under a couple power lifters who actually knew what they were doing. And actually that's where I kind of learned programming and kind of going into that kind of stuff, and learning how to actually set up a workout to not just kill yourself every single time. But not everyone is going to have that opportunity, right? So they're just going to be at the gym or listen to somebody, and it's going to be the, you know, do the 8-hour arm workout from Rich Piana. That's how you get big arms, you know. And it's like, do not do that under any circumstance. Do not do that. Okay. Like, I love Rich Piana to death. RIP to the GOAT. Right, babe? But never do that. True fans will understand that. But I think, yeah, I mean, wrong advice is huge. You know, you hear somebody say like, nah, man, like, you got to cut carbs completely. You got to make sure that you're just drinking 5 gallons of water a day. You got to go run on the treadmill 8 hours a day, do a 9-hour arm workout, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, you need to start about this big and then go this big and then this big and then this big and then this big. For everybody just listening, I'm moving my fingers apart. But it's like small incremental changes can be built on. Jumping right to the top can't be built on. Where are you going to go? To a 9-hour arm workout? Like, get out of here. You know, it's not feasible. It's not sustainable. I think is one of the big things that I've noticed for people.
Yeah. And I think it's just important to stay curious too. So you get to the bottom of that misinformation. Otherwise, you're just going to listen to everybody, and it's no longer your pursuit. It's everybody else's opinion that you're now pursuing and hopefully going to attain that goal. And so now when you get that goal, it's no longer yours. Yeah, you might have put in the work, but it's a second-hand goal. It's like a hand.
We've completed their feelings about your pursuit of wellness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big one that comes to mind for me as well. And to take it a step further, like, I think of social media and maybe some of the pressure or the influence that we all get from there. You know, it's really easy to like go on Instagram and see this influencer with the perfect body and the perfect diet, and like, good for them, but like, that's not your journey. And just because they are moving at a certain pace or living a certain lifestyle, that doesn't mean you have to feel bad about yours. Like,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I find that to be a very real roadblock for a lot of people. Sometimes myself even. So.
Yeah, it's hard because you want that gratification now, and if that gratification looks like that, that's not going to happen now. It's going to happen 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. So why wait to find happiness or fulfillment at the end of that long journey rather than finding it right here? And I think that's it's pretty powerful when you have that mindset and you're able to step into that. Now it's not work that you're doing, it's actually fun, and you're excited to get engaged with a workout or a diet plan, or you stay curious about finding out information or meeting new people. And I think that's where I really think that owning your own journey gets really powerful.
Yeah, it's huge too, especially whenever you can sort of make that realization and kind of pull your own goals and your own pursuit out of just, I want to do this thing right here. You know, it's like, well, no, I want to grow into the person who's going to try and achieve that goal. Sure. But whenever I get there, it's going to be my goal. It's not going to be me just trying to be this idea that I've come up with in my head, you know? Like for me, like whenever I first started bodybuilding and all that stuff, like wanted to look like Phil Heath all day long. And it's like, you know, the closest I ever could have got to Phil Heath is to go back in time and get mad at my dad for these sorry ass calves that he gave me. So it's like, you know, sometimes maybe not everyone can be Phil Heath. That's why he's 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. That's why he's the best in the world, was the best in the world. Bullshit, Shawn Roden. But anyways, it's, not everyone can do those things, but you can still have an amazing time. You can still be an amazing bodybuilder, CrossFitter, football player, basketball player, field hockey player, whatever you want to do, you can still be you and you can still have a great time on your own pursuit. You just got to be willing to own it, and you got to be willing to, go on that journey.
Yeah. And your pursuit doesn't have to be, all those competitive factors. Your pursuit could be that you want to open your own business or your own restaurant, and you want to have like a side thing of fitness and wellness, or you want to eat healthy while you work a corporate job. Like, it doesn't have to be these big hairy goals that people, I guess that's my thing. I think that's my thing. People feel proud for
He's getting
setting
there. You see it, Bailey? You see that?
I think that's
Oh,
my
I see
thing.
it.
People set big hairy goals to inspire other people to make them feel good about themselves, but they don't want to put in the work to actually do it.
Right.
So they'll be like going around, touting around, I'm gonna be the next bodybuilder or the next international yoga instructor, and I'm gonna have a following of X, Y, and Z, but then nothing ever comes from it. They'll just play small for the rest of their lives, and then they're afraid to talk to people about it because they set these huge aspirational goals. And yeah, they might get there one day, but they're not getting people excited about the smaller goals that they want to obtain, and they're not authentically sharing, getting people involved in their own story so that they can build on top of that. Because you can't build on top of such a small foundation. You're not going to put a pyramid upside down. You got to build wide from the bottom and then go to the top. So I guess that's my thing. It just drives me crazy. People set huge aspirational goals, and they try to get validation and credibility from just setting the goal. Anybody can do that. Anybody can have a pie in the sky and be like, oh, look at you can see Mars from here. Yeah, you're going to go visit it? You got to talk to Elon Musk, buddy. Like, go do something. Like, there's steps here.
Well, I think it's because it kind of goes back to what I was talking about, where it's like people are going to be super excited if you lose 100 pounds. Are people going to be super excited you walk to the mailbox and back? And then tomorrow you walk to the neighbor's mailbox and back?
They should. You know what?
That's what I'm saying. They should, but not everyone is going to do that,
It drives me crazy because I am super proud of my 2 workout partners that I work out with. When they come all 5 days. I'm like, hey man, this is a great workout week. I'm glad you came all 5 days. And they're like, why do you say that? It's like, because that's a big accomplishment in itself.
You know how rare it is? I go 5 days.
Yeah. And you're consistent.
Dude.
Yeah. You're consistent 100% of the time, rather than settling for, 20, 40, 60, 80%. And yeah, they might not be the best workouts, but you were there. And so you got, instead of getting that full 20% increment, you might have got 5%, but that's still a lot more than you would have got not showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And I think that's what I want to say just real quick before I got a whole other area we want to go on, but before just kind of wrap this up. I think the thing that I want to leave with is we should all be encouraging to each other, and we should all be happy for each other, no matter how big the goal is, big or small. Like, if you put a true dollar in savings and you haven't been able to do that before, I'm so proud of you. That is huge. Like, trust me, I get it, right? I've been that guy before. You go up to the ATM window and they're like, do you want to put the whole $3 in? It's like, lower your fucking voice, right? Like, I've been that guy before, right? Like, I've put $2 in the gas tank before, right? So like, I get it. If you could save $1 and that's all you could do, dope, man. I'm super excited for you. If you put 10 million in there because all these investments paid off and you cashed out whenever they shorted GameStop and whatever, equally as excited. That is awesome. You were not able to do that before. I'm pumped for you, right?
Yeah.
But not everyone is like me and Austin and Bailey, where it's like, we're going to be encouraging no matter what your goal is and everything else. So I think that would be my challenge to everybody going on their own pursuits and everything else, is be encouraging, be supportive, show people that you care, and then watch how much good comes back to you. You know, like whether you believe in karma, whether you believe in higher powers or whatever you believe in, I notice that the more good I put out there, the more good I get back.
Yeah. And I guess like I kind of got a question. How can people do that? Like genuinely and authentically spread the love and to encourage other people, whether they know them or not. Because I guess I struggle with this a little bit, and I think I can do it better as like a coach than I can do it as somebody on the sidelines just watching, or a family or friend. So I'm kind of curious on like what are both of your opinions on how you can actually be supportive and be encouraging to other people like that.
I love that question. And I'm gonna be super real. I think it's harder when like, you know, you're talking about reaching the masses, right?
Yeah.
But when you're talking about people that are in your normal circle or people that you may interact with occasionally, like we need to understand that like we don't know that person's backstory. You know, sure, they might just be walking on a treadmill, but you don't know if they have a disease or a medical condition or recently lost somebody or is battling addiction. Like you have no idea what they're going through. And the fact that they got their butt on that treadmill might be the biggest step forward they've taken in months. And so before ever commenting or before ever really assuming we know their story, it's like I try to take it upon myself to really check myself and just understand that like they know their story way better than I ever will. And so the more I can be supportive of them and encouraging of them, you know, that's the best approach. That is always the best approach. I don't know, Shawn, maybe you can add to that, but I just think it's really, yeah, it's so crucial. Like we just don't know what they're coming from. We don't know their backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think I try to come from a genuine place of like trying to be happy. And, you know, it took a long time for me to realize that jealousy is not helping anything. You know, I have some very, very successful friends. One of them is on this podcast with me. Awesome. Who, you know, when I was coming up and we were in undergrad, not to diss anyone else, Bailey, but I'm saying whenever we were coming up in undergrad and this dude is pulling down every single A, he's got a 4.0, graduating top of his class. And I'm over here with a solid, strong 2.0. You know what I'm saying? It was actually 2.1. Shout out to Mike Willett, who got me into grad school. But you know, it was, I had to kind of let go of some of those demons, you know, like, cause I was working out, I was training. I mean, I remember one time, Austin, whenever we were both like prepping, and I told you my goal every shoulder workout is to make you look small. And you looked at me and said, good luck. So we were competitive for a long time. And whenever I was able to let go of all of that,
Yeah.
and kind of just move to a space where I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome that you're doing all this stuff. I'm so happy that you're graduating top of the class. I'm so happy that your shoulders is 3 times the size of mine, and I have 100 pounds on you, and I don't even understand that like physiologically. You know, like when I moved into that space of just genuinely being happy for other people, that's whenever it was easier. You know, so like for example, if one of my interns comes up and they're like, oh man, I got a C on my biochemistry exam. I'm like, hey, C's get degrees, baby. I've been there, you know, because like I don't know if maybe they were failing and they got a C, you know, or maybe, you know, they were getting A's and they got a C on this one. And now they're feeling a little discouraged, right? Like I'm basically telling you either like, hey, good job, you're on track, or I'm telling you, hey, it's okay with the same statement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So regardless if your background is up or down, that statement works, you know, or if like you see somebody in the gym or something out there, right? And they're walking past you and like they say what's up, like, oh, I see you, you know, you just keep walking by, right? Like, oh, cool, right? Like that dude acknowledged that I'm here.
Oh yeah. And I think a lot of people get excited about that. We do have Jared sending us some notes, if you wouldn't mind me reading it real quick, because I think this was pretty good.
Yeah, bring it on. Bring it on.
All right. Jared says, I find that we get angry and jealous of others when they're achieving fitness goals because we are externalizing our negative feelings towards ourselves because we want to achieve similar goals but aren't motivated. It's a lot easier to support others when we start to comparing ourselves to who we were and where we have been, instead of who someone else is today. I think that's
Jared coming
good.
in deep.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter fingers are hot right now.
Cool. I don't even know where to go with that. Bailey, you got anything for that?
Thinking it's a lot to take in. But I don't know, the piece of that really stuck out to me is like, you know, your biggest competition is you. That man or woman looking right back at you in the mirror, that's really the only person you need to be focused on. And that is so much easier said than done. Again, like we're bombarded in a world with, I don't know, information, images,
comparisons,
like people thrive off that. And like, don't get me wrong, a little bit of competition is very much a healthy thing.
Yeah.
But it can turn a corner quickly. And so, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it, but I mean, the more that you can be focused on your own pursuit or your own journey, you know, the more content you're going to feel. And I feel like that's what we ought to be encouraging one another to do anyways.
Yeah. It's so interesting because you can also see, it's interesting because you can see yourself in that person. Mm-hmm. So you're connected to them. But instead of, I think in some way we're rejecting some part of ourselves that we can't accept to actually show support and love and care towards that other person. So instead of trying to unravel all the stuff that we have and our problems and our triggers, we're just going to be like, I'm just going to get mad at that person or be jealous of them or, you know, talk them down in a different way. They can't be perfect. They can't be, you know, everything that I wanted to be. I'm going to point out something that they're not good at. So, I don't know. I see like a human connection and some depth there, but people are afraid of that. And instead of asking that person for help, like, hey, I'd love to pick your brain on a couple ideas, or, you know, I'd love to hear your thoughts on a workout plan. They just completely reject it and get upset. And that makes nobody better.
Right.
That makes a lot of things a lot worse.
You ever feel like everybody just kind of needs to take a deep breath?
Like right now, yeah, me.
No, I mean like just like everyone in the world, like all the craziness with politics, left, right, center, you know, all the craziness with body shaming and, you know, this, that, and the other. And, you know, oh, well, you go on Instagram and you go to people's comment sections. It's like, oh, that's gross. Why do you need veins going through your abs? That's ridiculous. You know, it's like, man, dude probably busted his ass to get there. Or, you know, I've seen a lot of chicks that were better shape than I've ever been in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Or whatever your gender is these days. I don't know. Okay. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that put in a lot of work and a lot of time, you know, and we can't discredit people that are willing to do that. You know, now if they're out being a, you know, dickhead about it, like, yeah, we can be like, all right, pump your brakes, kid. But like, if they're legitimately on their pursuit and they're happy and everything that they're doing is working out and everything in their life is feeling fulfilled, you know, why would we be, you know, upset about this? You know, I mean, likewise, like if someone, maybe they're not all the way there, maybe they're just working on it. You know, why would we be upset that someone is making moves to make their lives better? You know, that doesn't make any sense to me. I think we have to just be encouraging, and we have to, you know, just be a little more understanding of everybody. You know, everyone's struggles are different, you know, and we don't know everyone's story. We don't know where everyone's from. So if you're just genuinely supportive to everybody within reason, you know, I'm not saying go out and give your whole check to somebody, but I'm saying, you know, let's just be encouraging. You know, sometimes the littlest thing can go so unbelievably far.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of one of those things, people can give you a million reasons why you can't do something, but a lot of times it's just the support of the one way you can get it done. And right. You know, I've had people that were supposed to be quote unquote mentors that it's like, I want to own my own supplement company, and they just laughed at me. It's like, you'll never be able to do that. And it's like, as a college student, they just shot my dreams down. And it's like, all right, I never even touched it after that.
Switching gears here a little bit, you know, I think one of the big things, especially with season 2 here, you know, and, you know, shout out to everybody who's followed us since the beginning of season 1. You know, season 1 was great, and we really kind of went into the world of wellness, and we really kind of explored, and we were able to ask questions that I've never really been able to ask before, and all this other stuff. And going into season 2, one of the big things I'm very adamant about, and I'm willing to die on this hill, is I think we have to be real, and we have to be honest and open, not only with our listeners, but with ourselves, you know? So one of the things I want to talk about is, when did you realize that looking at fitness from a wellness perspective, or looking at fitness through a wellness lens, was important? Because I know I certainly didn't have that the whole time. I didn't start off that way.
Yeah. I have an Instagram post that I did.
Bailey, you want to go while he's looking that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can share. Well, ironically enough, I don't think I would have ever even put it into those terms until like as a group and just as an organization, we even started discussing it, because I think for the longest time, I was very much simply on the fitness trend, very narrow-minded, single-minded. I wanted to be able to, do X, Y, and Z. And basically nothing else really mattered. And what I noticed is when we started having these discussions, I started checking in with myself, and some of the questions I was asking, in my pursuit of, for me, it was running. Like, I'm really into running these days. I've been doing like training for half marathons. I've been trying to improve, and that's a great goal. But I just hit a wall. I'm gonna be honest, and there was nothing well about it. I was running to log the miles. I was running to check it off my list, and I wasn't enjoying any of it.
Yeah.
My body was hurting. I felt like crap. And I ended up not with a serious injury, but like having to take a step back just because I wasn't wellness focused. I was like results focused. And I think, again, a lot of us do that. I like to think I had nothing but good intent, but my goals weren't that realistic, and I wasn't checking in with myself, and it bit me in the butt. So,
Yeah.
I'll be the first to say that this is actually a new concept for me, but it's already been life-changing. And I'm not exaggerating, like life-changing, because
everybody, we want to play that part back. Everybody hear that part?
Life-changing. But the reason it's life-changing is because it's realizing there wasn't really anything wrong with my goal, but like my pursuit of it wasn't the most healthy way that I could do that. So I've been able to take a few steps back, rework a few things, and like, it's nice. Like, my body actually feels great now, and my progress hasn't taken a step back. Like, it's stayed consistent. And so that's been so reassuring to me, is that, I'm not getting off my track. I'm actually just improving it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like
that's powerful.
Yeah, that's incredible too, because I feel like a lot of people will just continue to cut corners, to check those boxes, and then they sacrifice, relationships, their profession, financial wellness, emotional wellness, and then it's hard to like get that back. It's hard to get that back because you just kind of, I don't know, once you start having those wellness leaks, the whole ship goes down. And
yeah,
it's not fun. It's not fun to get back, but that's a journey in self.
Yeah. Sweet. What do you think, Austin? When was have you even had that?
Oh yeah, I've had that. Gosh, I think I've had it multiple times. Yeah, in multiple areas of wellness. I think the one big area of wellness, it was fitness, and it was when I was going to do my second show. When I deleted my post, but it was basically like I was burnt out. Like it wasn't fun anymore. I was just doing it to check boxes, to be under a certain weight, to lift a certain amount, to eat a certain like diet plan, and it's like there's no fun or color to life. And I think, Shawn, you always said when you drink caffeine you can see things, life is in 4D. And I think like it lost that whole perspective. Everything was just black and white. It's like I didn't care who was there, who was around. It's like I'm going to do my thing and I don't care about anything else. And I think that impacted me and my friendships. And I think you guys, super grateful how tight we were to stay around and stick around as friends. I think that hurt my chances, even as like education and job opportunities, because I shut myself off from everything else, whether that's networking or clubs or anything like that. And I was just basically sacrificing everything for one goal. And it's like, that's pretty, life just has so many things to offer. Why sacrifice everything for just one thing? It's like, there's so much more than that. So I think that was the big one for me. It was, when I was going to do my second show, but I didn't do it.
And so, and you feel genuinely more happy, more fulfilled, you know, more.
Oh yeah. I remember falling asleep on your floor with my laptop on my head because I was
Or
so
dark times.
exhausted. Yeah. I'm not trying to eat pixie sticks all day or whatever I was doing, like terrible diet plans. I don't know. I think that was, yeah, I just taking it because I wasn't living in the moment. I think that was the big thing. I was living in the end goal. So I wasn't here. I was 6 months from now. It's like I'll be happy then. You know, I'll have fulfillment then. And it's like you're never gonna find happiness or fulfillment there because there will always be there and it'll never be here, no matter where you're at.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like
about
I
you,
just
Shawn?
went really deep.
No, hey, bring it on. Cause you know what? That's actually that's a good segue into my thought, I guess. And you know, I'm going to, again, season 2, I'm going to be raw and real and, you know, 100%. I'm not going to make anything up here. And I'll be the first one to say, when we first started talking about all these concepts and we were on that whiteboard in my back room, I was super hyped. I was like, cool, I love this concept, everything else. And then I went to write, and I went to, let's be honest, I don't write. I speech to text on my phone.
Fact.
That's true.
I'm bad, dude. Like, I don't even really type. I don't really text no more. I just pick up my phone and talk.
It's Siri.
I promise you. But when I started putting down notes and I started working on stuff, and my brain went off in every millions and millions of directions on X, Y, and Z, all the stuff that we have planned for this season. Stay tuned, by the way. I kept coming back to this episode, and I was really, really struggling. And then it dawned on me, like, I don't have this. Right? Like, I walked away from bodybuilding, right? After getting hurt, after gaining weight, after struggling with my inner demons, with all this stuff and everything else. And I buried Project Rebirth, and I was like, I'm done. I never want to do this stuff again. You know, I'm just going to lift, I'm going to train, I'm going to enjoy it. You know, it's not about all the other stuff that it used to be about, you know, because and again, maybe I'm going to get a little too deep here, but, you know, whenever I was coming up, and Trey, who's on the call, or Little Matt can attest to this, like, it was some really, really dark stuff, you know, and I fed my body negativity for 15 years. You know, it was all the struggle, all the stuff that really, really bothered me. You know, if I couldn't do this, or I couldn't do that, or I'm poor, so I can't do this, or I'm overweight, so I can't do this, or I'm not strong enough, so I can't do this. All of that piled up on the bar with me. And it's like, I would just squat until I could puke, and then I wouldn't think about that stuff anymore. You know, because it was like, well, I overcame something today. You know, like, that couldn't hold me back. So neither can this other stuff, you know? And so I became this big proponent of negative fulfillment, you know, negative reinforcement, where it was like, oh yeah, you can do it. Well, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Right. It's like, oh, you can't do it. It's like, you, yes, I can. You know, like, I became this person to where if you told me no, I was going to shove it down your throat. But if you were so positive and trying to be nice to me and everything else, I just didn't care. And so when I walked away from bodybuilding, I told myself, all that's done. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to the gym for me. I'm going to lift every day and, you know, have fun with the guy I work out with now. Is my buddy John. He's my tattoo guy. You know, John and I have a great relationship. I'm just going for fun. But I got to thinking about it. And every time I walk in those doors, I go right back into that mindset. I didn't actually walk away from anything. It's the exact same. The training is the same. The mindset is the same. I'm still thinking the same thoughts. You know, like, yeah, I can write incredible workouts and I can tailor things to just about anybody because I understand every level of fitness. And I understand that not everyone can do what I can do. But if we're talking about the application to me, it's totally different. You know, I always hold myself to this crazy, incredibly high standard. I always try and put more and more on myself. And no matter what I do, the gym, you know, it's the gym. I have to beat my numbers in my logbook on my progressive lifts. You know, even my warm-up lifts and everything else, I'm trying to be progressive on those, and I'm trying to do more reps or more rate every single week. And I stopped logging my stuff. I stopped writing everything down. So mentally, I'm just keeping a checklist. Like I noticed I was getting onto the incline bench, and I was like, okay, cool. Did 315 for 6 last week. Gonna do it for 7 this week. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, how do I even remember that? Like, I can't remember where I parked my car half the time. Like, but but I can remember from 2 weeks ago when I was in the last rotation for this. Like, this is ridiculous. So I think, and I said all that again. This is my big loop-de-loop story here, but I said all that to say that I have had a real realization and a real awakening with planning out this episode. And when I sent you guys over my notes and we started talking about it, you know, I wanted to talk about this with everyone else listening because, you know, you don't have to be there, right? The first step is realizing you're not there and it's not sustainable. And what you're doing is not going to be fulfilling, because every single time I check something off, I just want more, right? And there's 100% chance that you're going to get hurt whenever you're chasing after poundages that are near 100% of your max week after week after week, because that's not sustainable. That's not the right way. Like, I would never program that for anybody. So why am I doing it to myself, right? Because it's more mental for me, and it's more about how do I feel and using this as an outlet for frustration than it is about doing it the healthy and the proper way, you know? So I guess, and the reason I wanted to bring it up on this podcast right here is, you know, for me to say to everyone that, like, I now realize that I don't have wellness when it comes to fitness. There's a heavy shift towards it, and it does draw on other areas of my life and other areas of happiness, and I do let it influence me a little too much in certain things. And so throughout this season, what I'm going to do in my pursuit for this season is going to be getting back in balance a little bit, and, you know, becoming a little more even in some of the other areas, and not letting fitness affect some of the other areas, and letting some of the other areas lift up fitness. But it doesn't have to be by feeding it negative energy over and over and over again. I'm sorry if that got a little too deep for everybody.
No, that was good. I appreciate that, Shawn.
That's actually kind of incredible.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. It's like, it's a lot to realize too. I think one of the last times for me that I realized it was like my mentor. She's like, I can tell when you work out, and I can tell when you're really tight and you're very aggressively working out because you're not happy. And I was like, wow, you can see that? She's like, yeah, when you come in, you're like, oh, I missed, you know, the last 3 days of working out. You aren't feeding yourself that negative energy, and it's not propelling out in the different areas of your life. She's just like, you start to be like a bundle of joy, and you're showing up in work. You're showing up in like her like coaching practice. I'm showing that up in like physical fitness, or I'm showing up in that way towards a concert or anything else. And so it's like, what you feed it is what you're going to project everywhere else. And I think that's a pretty powerful message.
Yeah. I mean, I think just making the realization, you know, of what you know, you can feed your body positive stuff and be, you know, really happy and feel really empowered and feel, man, I'm doing great today. You know, like, I got a good workout in, you know, I got some good meals in. I actually remember to take my meds on time today, you know, because Lord knows I don't. Yeah, you know, or it can be like you leave the gym and you're like, yeah, well, it doesn't matter because, like, tomorrow I got to do this, and it's, you know, I'm still this much weight, and if I don't do this and this and this, and you eat yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And every goal just compounds and compounds and compounds. And, you know, I think for a long time I told myself, well, I'm very angry in the gym, and, you know, the gym is a place where, you know, one of my favorite Kai Green quotes, I'm not really even Kai Green fan, is the gym is a place where you doesn't matter, right? You can go in, you can paint a portrait of a barely controlled fury, and that's encouraged, you know. And that resounded with me with another idea, I guess, from one of the early guys that I worked out with, and, you know, an older guy, not really cool with him anymore, so I'm not gonna say his name, but it was one of those things where they were like, you know, whenever you're going into a top set, you need to be in the frame of mind of a little kid that just got told mommy and daddy don't love each other anymore. Like, that's the place you need to go to. And so I created this place in my mind, and I put it behind this door, and I could go through the door anytime I wanted to. And I would think about just the darkest stuff I possibly could, the stuff that really, really bothered me, just to amp myself up, just to bench press. Right. And it's like, yeah, at work. Yeah. I've been pretty damn strong, but like, what's the cost? You know, now that I'm 30, now that all my joints are worn out, you know, now that all of my, you know, I have back problems, I have elbow problems, I have knee problems, I have hip problems, you know, like there's a better way I could have gone about it. And I genuinely believe, like sitting back and being reflective now as a, you know, an old, I genuinely believe that if I had fed my body positivity and I had went at it from the perspective of feeding it positive things and being happy, I genuinely think I'd be in a better position. You know, I mean, as frou-frou and as crazy and as, you know, anti-science as that sounds, you know, and I'm a physiologist, right? I get it. Like there's no science that says if you think about happy thoughts or think about negative thoughts, maybe in plants there's that science, but there's no science behind that in the bench press. Okay, I'll be the first one to admit it. I can tell you right now, as someone who's done it for 15 years the wrong way, you know, I would encourage everyone to start being happy about what they're doing and to stop beating themselves up and stop punishing themselves and stop reliving all those negative moments just in the name of getting to the gym. There's better ways to be motivated. And, you know, I'm here to tell you through the next, you know, however many episodes this season is, I'm going to be trying that every single day. So
yeah. I love that. Well, I guess my thing is that anger, shame, guilt, fear, frustration, it's got to come out somewhere. If you're feeding yourself with it, it's just compounding it. So for me, I've always noticed it comes out like late night snacking. Like if I had a really rough day at work, I'll just eat until I'm way too full. Or
dude, I'm an emotional eater like you read about. Like
exactly. And so it's like when you're fueling that, it's like, how do you not expect it to show up in another area of your life? It's like adding fuel to the fire and then turning your back on it. It's like, yeah, that's going to spread just a little bit. It's going to go somewhere else. It's not just going to stay there. It's not a little bonfire or a candle that's just going to go out.
Right. And I mean, you know, maybe it doesn't manifest into, you know, eating or lifting like a madman or, you know, doing X, Y, and Z. Maybe it manifests even more negatively. Maybe it manifests in an eating disorder or, you know, something along the lines of, you know, I mean, Bailey could talk about this more than me, but, you know, there's tons of ways that letting that negative energy compound in your mind. I love that word, Austin. It can manifest itself in a lot of other ways. You know, I mean, Bailey, you see it all the time, right? I mean,
absolutely. And I think it's interesting because just as much as we would encourage anyone to pursue fitness through a wellness lens, like that can very much be said for nutrition as well. You know, when we let negative thoughts dictate our eating choices, whether that's over consuming, under consuming, overindulging, underindulging, you know, are we actually doing something that is beneficial to our body or is it a coping mechanism? And very much like mental wellness isn't the topic for today, but, you know, if we're looking at generalized wellness as like this overarching umbrella theme, then that's something that needs to be addressed too. And if your mental state is not allowing you to enjoy fitness for what it is, or if it's not allowing you to enjoy food for what it's supposed to be, then maybe that ought to be, you know, your goal or your alignment. Maybe that's where you prioritize your time first. Because if you can then improve physical fitness and nutrition, I mean, you're really making large strides there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess that's what I would say about that one.
I mean, honestly, that's a great way to kind of recap and wrap up this episode today. I know we've gone a little bit over an hour, so we'll kind of begin to cut things here. But, you know, I love it. You know, I think if you can begin to improve your mental and physical health, you know, through nutrition and fitness and everything else, you know, I mean, it's going to be a positive thing. And that's how you can achieve both fitness and wellness.